Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Wingman Shorts, the podcast where we break down complex tech topics into easy to understand concepts for business owners, IT managers and professionals. I'm Vince, your tech advisor. Today we're talking about open source alternatives, what they are, where they fit and whether they're actually right for your business. Let's get into it. So, open source. It is one of those phrases that gets thrown around quite a lot, but not everyone is entirely sure what it means in a practical day-to-day business sense. At its core, open source software is software where the source code is available publicly. That means anyone can view it, modify it, and even distribute their own version of it. Now that sounds quite technical, but the real-world impact is actually quite simple. It often means software that is free to use, or at least significantly cheaper than the commercial alternatives. And straight away, we can see why that becomes appealing, especially if you are a small business owner. If you are trying to keep costs under control, the idea of replacing a monthly subscription with something that is free or low cost sounds brilliant. No worries there. For many businesses, especially early stage ones, open source can absolutely help reduce that initial outlay. But it's not just about cost. One of the big strengths of open source is the community behind it. These tools are often built and maintained by groups of developers who genuinely care about the product. That means issues get fixed, features get added, and improvements get made, often quite quickly. There is usually a strong sense of collaboration and good intent there, which is something we really like. Now, let's make this a bit more real with some examples, because this is where it starts to make sense. Take LibreOffice. That is probably one of the best known open source alternatives out there. It is effectively an alternative to Microsoft Office. You get a word processor, a spreadsheet tool, presentation software, all the basics you would expect. And for a lot of use cases, especially simple document work, it does the job absolutely fine. In fact, LibreOffice has been adopted by some public sector organisations, including initiatives in parts of Germany, where there has been a push to reduce reliance on large commercial vendors. That tells us something important. Open source is not just for hobbyists or small setups. It can scale and it can be taken seriously at an organisational level. But, and this is where we start to balance things out, LibreOffice also has its limitations. It is a desktop experience. So, while you get those core applications, you do not get the full ecosystem that something like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace offers. There is no built-in email platform, no seamless cloud-based document sharing in the same way, and collaboration is not as slick or integrated. So if you are a single user or a very small team, LibreOffice might be a great fit, but if you are running a business with multiple people who need to collaborate in real time, share documents, manage emails and work from anywhere, then that gap becomes quite noticeable. And that is really the theme we want to highlight in this episode. Open source is not better or worse. It is different, it has strengths and it has trade-offs. Let's look at a few more examples. Suite CRM is another interesting one. As the name suggests, it is a customer relationship management platform. Think Salesforce or HubSpot, but open source. Again, the appeal is clear. You can run your own CRM without expensive licensing fees. You have full control over your data. You can customize it to suit your business. But here is the catch. You often have to host it yourself. That means servers, backups, security, updates, the whole lot. If you have an in-house IT team or a partner that can manage that, no problem. But if you are a small business owner, without that support, it can quickly become a burden rather than a benefit. Rustdesk is another example. It is an open source remote desktop tool. It is a bit like TeamViewer or AnyDesk. Again, it can be a fantastic option if you want more control or to avoid subscription costs, but out of the box it might require more setup, particularly if you want to self-host it for security reasons. And this is a really key point. A lot of open source tools assume a certain level of technical capability. Not always, but often. They might expect you to handle installation, configuration, updates, and sometimes troubleshooting at a deeper level than a commercial product would. For an IT manager listening to this, that might sound fine. You might even prefer it. More control, more flexibility, no vendor lock-in. Great. But if you are a business owner trying to focus on running your company, or a professional who just needs tools that work, that extra complexity can be a challenge. Now, let's switch gears slightly and talk about infrastructure, because open source is not just about applications. TrueNAS, for example, is an open source storage platform. It allows you to build your own network attached storage system. It is powerful, flexible, and can be incredibly cost effective compared to buying a pre-built solution. But again, it assumes you have the skills, or access to someone who does, to set it up and maintain it. It is not just plug and play in the same way as some commercial alternatives. Then we have tools like Ollama, which is focused on running large language models locally. That is quite a cutting-edge example. It allows businesses to experiment with AI without relying on cloud providers. That can be fantastic for privacy and control, especially if you are dealing with sensitive data. You don't have subscription costs and can really build some bespoke AI intellectual property with it. But it also comes with hardware requirements, setup complexity, and ongoing management. So, while it is exciting, it is not necessarily the right fit for everyone. On the creative side, you have tools like GIMP and DaVinci Resolve. GIMP is often seen as an alternative to Photoshop. It is powerful, capable, and completely free, but the interface and workflow are quite different, and there can be a learning curve. DaVinci Resolve is a really interesting one because it is actually used in professional video production. It has an open model at its core, with both free and paid versions. That is a great example of where open source or open ecosystems can genuinely compete at the highest level. And then there is PDF SAM, a simple but useful tool for splitting and merging PDFs. It is not glamorous, but it solves a real problem, and that is something open source does very well. It often focuses on doing one thing well. So let's take a step back and pull this together. If you are a small business owner, open source can be a brilliant way to reduce costs and gain access to tools you might not otherwise afford. But you need to be realistic about your resources. If you do not have technical support, you may spend more time managing the tool than actually benefiting from it. If you're an IT manager, open source gives you flexibility, control, and the ability to build solutions that fit your business precisely. But it also means responsibility. You're often the one maintaining it, securing it, and keeping it running. And if you're a general business professional, the key question is usability. Does it help you do your job effectively? If it does, great. If it adds friction, then it might not be worth the trade-off, even if it is free. Now, one thing we want to be really clear on, we are not here to say you should ditch all your commercial software and go open source. And equally, we are not saying open source is not worth considering. The reality, as always, is somewhere in the middle. In many cases, the best approach is a blend. You might use commercial platforms where integration, support, and ease of use are critical. And you might use open source tools in specific areas where they offer clear advantages, whether that is cost, flexibility, or control. It is about making informed decisions, understanding what you're gaining, what you're giving up, and what that means for your business. And that really comes back to our role as your wingman in the tech world. We are here to help you cut through the noise, understand your options, and choose what works best for you. Because at the end of the day, technology should support your business, not slow it down. It should give you confidence, not confusion. And whether that is open source, commercial software, or a mix of both, the right answer is the one that fits your needs, your team, and your goals.
Claire's blatant plug.
Claire here, and I've got a question for you. How much time does your team waste on repetitive tasks, clunky processes, or chasing information? If the answer is too much, or worse still, I'm not sure, then you need to hear about Wingman Evolve. Evolve is a fixed-length engagement where we dive into how your business actually works. We map your workflows, spot the bottlenecks, and then show you how to streamline them using automation, AI, and the right technology. The goal is simple: Less friction, fewer manual steps, and more time for the work that really matters. And if you're not sure where to get started with AI, this is the perfect place to begin. We'll help you identify where AI can make a real difference without the hype or guesswork. If you're ready to evolve the way you work, email us at hello@pinpoint-networks.net to find out more.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Tech Wingman Shorts. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends and colleagues. Until next time, take care.